If you're thinking about buying a waterfront home in Cape Coral, there's a lot that doesn't come up in the typical showing. Stuff that ends up costing buyers tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars after they close. In the next 20 minutes, I'm gonna walk you through what every buyer should know before they sign. Hey, I'm Rick Harrison. My team and I have closed over 100 successful transactions here in Southwest Florida. And before real estate, I spent years as a contractor and teacher. So I tend to look at these properties from a few different angles. So here's the thing. Cape Coral waterfront isn't like buying a lake house in the Carolinas or a riverfront property in Tennessee. This is an engineered city built on a canal system that most people don't fully understand until they've already been living in. And too often, buyers find out about the expensive stuff long after the closing, when there's nothing they can really do about it. So that's what we're gonna fix today. So let's start with what Cape Coral actually is. The Cape Coral Canal System. Cape Coral exists for one reason: water. This entire city was carved out of mangroves and wetlands in the 1950s and 60s by the Rosen brothers, who wanted to build a waterfront paradise where every home could have canal access. They dredged over 400 miles of canals. That's more than any other city in the world. And when you're looking at waterfront homes here, the very first thing you need to understand is this: not all canals are created equal. There are freshwater canals and there are saltwater canals. And this is not some small detail. This changes everything about your boating access, your insurance, your maintenance, and ultimately your property value. Saltwater canals connect to the Caloosahatchee River and eventually the Gulf of Mexico. Freshwater canals are landlocked. They're basically big drainage ditches. They don't go anywhere. You can put a kayak in there, maybe a small fishing boat, but you're not getting to the Gulf. You're not going to Sanibel, you're not going island hopping. So here's a scenario that plays out all the time. A buyer from the Midwest sees a listing that says waterfront and pictures the whole package: a boat in the backyard, fishing on the weekends, cruising out to the Gulf. They buy the house, then they realize their canal is freshwater. It doesn't connect to anything. The property value difference between a freshwater canal home and a saltwater canal home with Gulf access can be $100,000 to $200,000 or more. Same square footage, same finishes. So when you're looking at the listings, don't stop at the word waterfront. Ask the specific questions. Is this a freshwater or saltwater canal? Does it have direct Gulf access? Are there any bridges between this property and open water? And if so, what's the clearance? Those three questions will tell you more about what you're actually buying than the listing photos ever will. Direct versus indirect Gulf access. Now let's go deeper. Within the saltwater canal system, there's another major distinction: direct Gulf access versus indirect Gulf access. Direct Gulf access means your canal connects to the river and there are no bridges between the dock and the open Gulf. You can take a 40-foot yacht out if you want. No height restrictions, no waiting for bridge openings. Indirect access means there are bridges in your path. And depending on which canal you're on, those bridges might have a 15-foot clearance, some have 7-foot clearances. If you got a center console with a T-top or a sailboat, you're not getting under a 7-foot bridge. You're pretty much stuck. And again, the price difference is massive. Direct access Gulf homes command a serious premium. We're talking $200,000 to $500,000 or more than an identical home on an indirect canal, depending on the neighborhood and the size of the property. So before you ever make an offer on a Cape Coral waterfront home, you need to know: is this freshwater or saltwater? If it's saltwater, is it direct or indirect Gulf access? And if it's indirect, how many bridges and what are the clearances? Your agent should have this information ready, and if they don't, that's a red flag. Geography: southeast versus southwest versus northwest Cape Coral. Now let's talk about where these canals actually are, because Cape Coral is a huge city. It's 120 square miles, and the location of your waterfront home determines not just your price, but your entire lifestyle. Southeast Cape Coral is the oldest and most developed part of the city. This is where you'll find most of the direct Gulf access homes. The canals here were dredged first, and they connect directly to the Caloosahatchee River with few or no bridges. The infrastructure is mature. You've got restaurants, shopping, schools nearby. The downside though, these are the most expensive waterfront homes in Cape Coral. On average, you're paying for that convenience and that access. Southwest Cape Coral has a mix of direct and indirect access. Some canals here have bridges, some don't. You'll find slightly lower prices than Southeast Cape, but you're also a bit farther from the main commercial areas. The neighborhoods here are newer, built mostly in the 90s and 2000s, and the lots tend to be a little bit bigger. Northwest Cape Coral is where a lot of the freshwater canals are. This is also where you'll find the most landlocked properties marketed as waterfront. Prices are lower here, but for good reason. You're 20-30 minutes from the main part of town, and if you've got a boat, you're either not going anywhere or you're trailering it to a ramp. And here's the thing: the time it takes to get from your dock to the Gulf matters. If you're in Southeast Cape on a direct access canal, you might get to the Gulf in 20 minutes. If you're in the Southwest Cape with a couple bridges, you might be looking at 40 minutes. That adds up. It changes how often you actually use the boat. It changes your whole relationship with the property. And if you're in the Northwest, you're probably gonna have a pretty decent commute to get out to open water. You can get through the Matlacha Pass, but you can also go all the way down through the spreader if you wanna get out to the bottom of the Cape. But that ride from the northwest all the way to the bottom of the Cape is going to be a pretty hefty ride. You're talking well over an hour. So when you're looking at waterfront homes, don't just look at the listing photos. Pull up a map, trace the canal route to the river, count the bridges, Google the bridge clearances, ask your agent how long it takes to get to open water. If they don't know, they should find out before you write an offer. Flood zones. All right, now we need to talk about flood zones because this is where a lot of buyers get blindsided. FEMA designates every property in the country with a flood zone. The two you need to know in Cape Coral are Zone X and Zone AE. Zone X is considered low to moderate risk. You're not in a high-risk flood area. If you've got a conventional mortgage, you're typically not required to carry flood insurance, though I'd still recommend it in some cases. Zone AE is a high risk. You are in a special flood hazard area, and if you have a federally backed mortgage, flood insurance is mandatory. And depending on your elevation and how close you are to that water, that flood insurance can cost anywhere from $500 a year to $5,000 a year or more. Here's what most realtors won't tell you. Some of the most expensive waterfront streets in Cape Coral are in Zone AE. Some of the least expensive inland homes are in Zone X. Hurricane Ian proved this. Homes that were 3 blocks from the water in a high elevation X zone stayed dry. Homes right on the canal in AE zones took on water. And the flood zone isn't just about insurance costs. It's about resale. It's about peace of mind. And it's about whether you're going to lie awake during hurricane season wondering if your house is going to flood. Before you buy any waterfront home in Cape Coral, pull the flood maps. You can do this for free on FEMA's website. Look at the elevation certificate if the seller has one, and if not, I definitely recommend getting a survey. For about $500, Target Surveying can come out and do that elevation certificate for you. Ask your agent what the base flood elevation is and how high the house sits above that. If the house is at or below BFE, which is base flood elevation, your insurance is going to be expensive and your risk is very real. And if your agent tells you flood insurance isn't a big deal, or you probably won't need it, find a different agent. If you're not already working with an agent, I'd love to help. I do this full time, I live here, I've walked through hundreds of these properties, and I can tell you what to look for and what to avoid. My contact information is in the description. Insurance. Let's keep going on insurance because flood insurance is just the beginning. Homeowners insurance in Florida is expensive in some cases. It's gotten way more expensive since Ian. And if you're buying a waterfront home, it's even worse. Here's what drives your insurance costs in Cape Coral. Roof age is number one. If the roof is over 15 years old, a lot of carriers won't insure you at all. If they do, they'll only give you an ACV coverage, which is actual cash value, meaning if your roof gets damaged, they're depreciating what they pay you. You want RCV, replacement cost value. That means the roof is newer. Wind mitigation is number two. If the house has hurricane straps, impact windows, a hip roof, you can get discounts. If it doesn't, your premium goes up. And one of the things most people don't realize about getting those discounts, especially if you're looking at impact resistant doors and windows, is that if even one door or window is not impact resistant and doesn't have shutters to go over it, for example, if your garage door has glass in it, it may not be actually rated for hurricanes and you will actually not be able to get the discount even though everything else might be hurricane impact resistant. So that's something to keep in mind. A wind mitigation inspection costs about $75 and can save you hundreds or thousands of dollars a year. Your agent should be recommending this before you even close. In a lot of cases, I recommend we get insurance quotes before we even make an offer. Distance from the coast is number 3. The closer you are to water, the higher your wind and flood premiums. That's just the reality. So when you're budgeting for a waterfront home in Cape Coral, don't just look at the mortgage payment. Add in property taxes, which are about 1.3 to 1.5% of the purchase price. Add in homeowners insurance, which can be $3,000 to $8,000 a year depending on the home. In some cases, you can get that lower if it's brand new. For example, we just bought a brand new home on the river. It's only got a little over $1,200 per year for the homeowners insurance. Add in flood insurance if you're in an AE, and add in HOA fees if the property has them. The other cost to look out for is if you're in a community with an HOA, some of those communities do have CDD fees, which do get tacked onto your tax bill in addition to that 1.3 to 1.5% that I gave you earlier. I've seen buyers qualify for a $600,000 home and then realize their total monthly cost is $1,200 more than they expected because no one walked them through the insurance reality. Don't let that be you. Hidden costs of waterfront ownership. Now let's talk about the costs that don't show up on the closing statement, but will absolutely show up in your bank account after you move in. Seawalls. If you want a waterfront home in Cape Coral, you've probably got a seawall. That seawall is what keeps your yard from eroding into the canal. And seawalls don't last forever. Depending on the material and the age, you're looking at a 25 to 40-year lifespan. Some cases you can get more out of it. A full seawall replacement can cost $30,000 to $80,000 or more depending on the length and the access. During your home inspection, you need someone who knows what to look for. Are there cracks? Is it leaning? Is there erosion behind it? Clients I'm working with right now actually just found out, we had an inspector come out for a seawall and they found out that the anchors were faulty because they had already been replacing these anchors from somebody else's work for the last 8 months. So they've been seeing this happen and they knew ahead of time just by looking at who pulled the permit and what the time period was that they were probably going to find anchors that were faulty. And when they dug up to see what that was, they found out it was faulty and the whole thing had to be fixed, which was going to be about $15,000 or more. And we found that out ahead of time, so we saved my clients money there. A bad seawall is a ticking time bomb, and most general inspectors won't catch it because they don't really know what to look for. You need a marine contractor or a structural engineer to evaluate it. Docks and boat lifts. If the house doesn't have a dock and you want one, you're looking at $15,000 to $40,000 depending on the size and permits. A boat lift is another $10,000 to $30,000 on top of that. And yes, you need permits from Lee County and possibly from the state depending on the waterway. Your realtor should be telling you this up front. If the house doesn't have a dock, ask why. Is it because the previous owner didn't want one? Or is it because the canal is too shallow or the setbacks don't allow it? I've seen buyers close on a house assuming they'd build a dock only to find out later that the water depth is 4 feet and they can't get permits. Canal maintenance. If you're on a saltwater canal, you've got barnacles, you've got algae, you've got marine growth. If you've got a boat lift, you need to maintain it. If you've got a dock, same thing. Budget a few $100s a year for cleaning and upkeep. None of this is a deal breaker, but it's all stuff you need to know before you buy, not after. Inspection red flags, contractor's eye. All right, let's talk inspections because this is where my contractor background really comes into play. Most home inspectors do a decent job with the basics. They'll check the AC, the roof, the electrical panel, but when you're buying a waterfront home in Cape Coral, you need to dig deeper. AC age. If the air conditioning system is over 12 years old, it's on borrowed time. A full replacement is $8,000 to $15,000 for a typical Cape Coral home. Ask for the maintenance records. If the seller can't produce them, assume the worst. Electrical panel. A lot of older Cape Coral homes still have Federal Pacific or Zinsco panels. Some of them have the square D panels that were faulty as well. These are known fire hazards. Insurance companies don't like them, and they need to be replaced before you can even close if you're getting a mortgage. That's $2,000 or $4,000 right there. If the inspector finds it, negotiate it or walk. Roof condition. I already mentioned age, but also look for soft spots, missing shingles, granule loss. Florida sun destroys roofs. If the roof looks questionable, get a roofer out there for a separate inspection. A roof replacement on a Cape Coral home is $15,000 to $30,000 or more, depending on the size and what the material is being used. For example, metal and slate roofs can be a lot more expensive. Plumbing. A lot of homes built in the 70s and 80s have polybutylene pipe, which is notorious for failing. If you see poly pipe, factor in a full repipe. That's around $8,000 to $15,000 right there, and a lot of insurance companies are going to make you do that before you can even purchase the home. And then the big one, the seawall. I already talked about this, but I'm saying it again because it's that important. If the seawall is failing, you're looking at a massive expense. Don't skip this. Get a marine contractor to look at it. Your standard home inspection is not enough for a Cape Coral waterfront property. You need eyes on the seawall, the dock, the boat lift if there is one, the canal depth, the electrical, the plumbing, and the roof. If your agent is recommending all of this, they're not doing their job. What your realtor isn't telling you. So why isn't your realtor telling you all this? Honestly, it's one of two reasons. Either they don't know or they don't know enough to know it'll matter to you later on. A lot of realtors in Southwest Florida moved here in the last few years. They've got their license, they started selling, but they don't have the depth of experience to know the difference between freshwater canal and a direct Gulf access canal. They don't know what a seawall replacement costs. They've never walked through a flood zone map. And then there are agents who know the facts but haven't been around long enough to see how those facts play out a year or two down the road. They've never gotten the call from a client whose flood insurance just doubled or who's staring at a $60,000 seawall bill they didn't budget for. So even if it comes up in conversation, it gets mentioned in passing instead of flagged as something you need to plan for. But here's the thing, by the time you're at inspection, you're already under contract. You've already invested time and emotion into that home. And if you find out then that the flood insurance is $4,000 a year, or that the seawall needs $60,000 in work, you're in a tough spot. You're gonna have to either negotiate that or walk away from the deal. The right way to do this is to ask all these questions up front. Before you write an offer, before you fall in love with the house. You need to know the flood zone, the insurance costs, the canal type, the bridge clearances, the seawall condition, the roof age, the AC age. And I know sometimes if you're in a tight spot, if you're in a seller's market and things are really moving quickly on the market, then sometimes you might need to do this during your inspection period. But make sure you do all of this before your inspection period ends, so that way there's no surprises and you aren't gonna put your deposit at risk. And if your agent can't answer any of these questions or won't, you need a different agent. Look, I love Cape Coral's waterfront property. I really do. There's nothing like being able to walk out your back door with your boat ready to go or enjoying a sunset from your own dock. This is why people move to Southwest Florida. But you have to go into this with your eyes open. You have to know what you're buying. You have to understand the flood risk, the insurance costs, the maintenance, and the canal system. Because when you do it right, a Cape Coral waterfront home is an incredible investment and an incredible lifestyle. But when you do it wrong, it's a financial nightmare. So here's what I want you to do. If you're serious about buying waterfront property in Cape Coral in the next 6 to 12 months, reach out to me. Call me, text me, email me directly at the number on the screen or any of the contact information that's linked in the description. I do this every single day. I know the inventory, I know the neighborhoods, and I know what to look for and what to avoid. And if you're not quite ready for that conversation yet, totally fine. I put together a free relocation kit that covers everything you need to know about buying in this area. Flood zones, insurance, neighborhoods, canal types, inspection checklists, all of it. You can scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description. Cape Coral waterfront living is amazing. Just make sure you do it the right way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.